Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Splash Sisters. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Mev.
And today we have a very special guest. His name is Jeron Smith, and he played D1 basketball at Howard University. He also worked for Nike, Barack Obama, and Steph Curry, and is the co-founder of HEIR.
It's an athlete-driven company that builds culture-inspired consumer brands rooted in sports, tech, and entertainment.
Jeron Smith, everyone, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me. Excited to chat with you all today.
First things first, you played basketball. What was your position? Like, who would you compare yourself to the NBA?
Man, so I played point guard in college. I think most people they like to compare themselves to like Hall of Famers, but there's a player that played for the Lakers back in the day. His name is Smush Parker. He's from New York. You know, another 6'4" point guard, could pick your pocket, could dunk on you, could knock down an open three, and I would say my game was most analogous to his.
Oh wow, that's a great comparison. If I had to say for me, I would say Draymond Green.
Mm,
Just because Draymond Green is like not really a shooter or anything, but play defense. So I'd say
okay.
that's. What about you, Mev?
I would say I play like Giannis, just because like I can get from one side of the court to the other side just like this. I'm very dominant in the paint, like nobody can really match up against me, honestly.
So what made you like fall in love with basketball and like this industry?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to answer the question in a roundabout way. Not too long ago, I was in Barcelona and I was at, it's called El Clasico. It's when Real Madrid plays FC Barcelona. I'm in the stadium and I'm like, I am enamored with the amount of energy from the fans. I haven't been a big European football fan for the majority of my life, but in that moment, in that instance, I understood why kids grow up in Europe and desire to be professional football players. And I think it's very similar in the United States where the fanfare, the energy, the feeling you get playing basketball at a high level, at a professional level is pretty crazy. So just being able to see that kind of coming up, the shoes, the culture, Slam magazine, all the things surrounding the game made me want to be an elite basketball player.
Yeah, definitely. Fans are everything. Like when everyone plays and you like make a shot or something and everyone cheers, it's just a different feeling. Especially European sports, they're like hardcore fans.
For sure.
For sure. While you were working with Sony and Unanimous Media, in what ways did you bridge the gap between culture and sports?
Absolutely. To be in a fortunate position to be able to create film and television IP, you're able to kind of put your identity on it, kind of take the summation of your experiences, the things you've seen, the things you've been a part of, and kind of bring that creative license into the film and television space. Probably the most successful television show we did was one called Holy Moly. It's on ABC Thursday nights. It's in its fourth season, and it kind of takes the humorous, laugh out loud, co-family viewing nature of television show Wipeout and couples
Mhm.
it with like extreme miniature golf, if you will, and kind of being able to develop IP that kind of merges these worlds together and brings people together ultimately kind of became the real impetus behind what kind of the purpose was in the film and television space.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I actually want to watch that show. That sounds really fun. Well, do you see basketball as a more of a culturally connected than any other major sport?
I'm biased, so I would say yes. Obviously, it's a global sport. It's one that can be played anywhere. Worst comes to worst, you can hang an A crate up on a light pole and have a game with the people in your neighborhood on your block. It's a very
Mhm.
easily accessible game, and it's fast. Right? There's a lot of points. It moves very quickly. It's very exciting. So yeah, I think basketball is like an incredible sport, and it's very globalized.
Yeah, it's getting more and popular like throughout the years too.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most interesting sports in my opinion.
Well, obviously our favorite.
Yeah. Well, what does the power of storytelling mean to you? Is there a story you hope to tell like in the near future?
Yeah, I would say storytelling is everything. Storytelling allows thought and an idea, anything someone wants to convey to really like kind of permeate the traditional ways and mechanisms by which somebody digests information. When you tell a great story, it has the ability to change thought patterns, change perspectives, etc. I always say the only thing that can change an unchangeable situation is perspective. Everything remains the same, everything remains neutral, but if you look at it differently, then all of a sudden everything is different. And one of the kind of age-old, most historic ways of changing perspective is through the notion of parable. And parables to me are one of the most effective and most concise forms of storytelling. I always think about the quote, I once cried because I had no shoes until I met a man with no feet. It's like the situation remains the same. You still have no shoes, but because you met a man with no feet, now you're grateful for the situation you're in versus seeing it as a
Exactly.
deficiency. So I think storytelling is very important.
Yeah, but I agree. Like even storytelling, like you'll hear people say like the NFL or the NBA or even football, like soccer, have like stories. Like you can't even just watch for just the sport. You watch for like the storytelling aspect of it. Like the Lakers always have a story, you know? Like everyone watches for that.
Absolutely.
You said that one of your goals was to inspire, impact, and empower. In what ways have you been able to accomplish this and hope to accomplish?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes back to the question you just alluded to previously. It comes back to the power of storytelling and the multiple mechanisms and modalities by which you're able to do so. So that could be through content, that could be through kind of sitting and speaking to people like yourselves. But when I think about the power of telling a story, the power of thinking about your experiences and the things you've been through and how to kind of convey those thoughts, it does have the ability to impact, inspire, empower, and then kind of through the things you're working on and the people you kind of connect with and come involved with. But I think that's probably as important of work as it gets.
Yeah, I agree. Like partnerships are a big thing. You see Rich Paul getting all of LeBron's fans deals and LeBron investing in every company, Shaq investing in every company. So you just have to work around everything.
Absolutely.
Well, how important is it to have a mentor? Like, who was yours? Could you talk a little bit about it?
I think mentors are really important. I think, especially when you're at the infancy of any career, at the genesis of any career, whether you're a basketball player, whether you're in the corporate space, whether you have a podcast, being able to rely on the experiences of others to prevent you from going through potentially the same hardships that those people that are more experienced than you have gone through is like, it's such a blessing. It's such a tool that can allow you to accelerate your pathway without having to go through certain things. People always ask me the mentor question. There's so many people that have been impactful for me that I've kind of looked at, whether more closely or from a distance. But I would say my peers are actually more mentors to me than probably somebody that's kind of gone through it before. I think we live in such a very distinct period in time. So like I have peers that are also entrepreneurs or in the same spaces as me and are going through like similar things that I'm able to call and kind of rely on and see how they've dealt with very similar situations. That's been really important for me.
I try to be a mentor too, and my sister as well, just for other girls who want to work in sports, because there's not that many, but it is growing every year. So we hope to like be mentors for people as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because we didn't really have anyone. We got a lot of backlash when we started, which makes sense. Now we overcame it, and we just hope like to influence other girls. If they want to start a podcast or something, they should. No matter if you get hate, because you probably will from little boys. At the end of the day, do what makes you happy.
Yeah, you all are killing it.
Thank you. And how do you navigate problematic situations, and how important is establishing a routine in your daily life?
Man, routine is really important to me. First, okay, how do I navigate problematic situations? I feel like as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a leader, I would say the number one thing I spend the most time doing is solving problems. There are problem solvers, and there's people that have a problem for every solution. And you want to try to stay away from working with people like that. But solving problems is something that I spend a lot of time doing. I try not to think about myself when I think about that problem. I try to think about the people that are involved, what their objectives are, what they're trying to accomplish in the situation, and then how do we kind of thread the needle to kind of find a solution that kind of accomplishes all objectives. How do you optimize outcomes? So that's something I think about a lot. Nonetheless, I think you also asked about like kind of routines, habits. I think those are really important for me as well. Once again, being a founder is a very emotional journey. Like there are highs and lows, seasons of blessings, seasons of testing. There are so many things that might transpire on the course of a day, the course of a week, the course of a month. So I try not to rely on my emotions when it comes to decision making, when it comes to kind of how my day is going to go. And I try to create habits and discipline that's going to really kind of dictate what's going to transpire. I try to pray every morning before I even pick up my phone and try to start the day off the right way. Exercise, working out, all of these things are really important because if I rely on how I feel, there's certain things I'm not going to do. However, if I rely on my habits, the things I've committed to doing every day, like not negotiating with myself, I'm going to do these things every day because I know if I do these things, the results are going to be this. Versus if I'm like, if I feel this way, the results are going to vary because how you feel is going to vary. So that's definitely been something that's been a part of my evolution and maturation, and relying more on those habits than relying on my emotions.
Yeah, I respect that a lot. Consistency is key. Like, go to sleep every night at the same time. Make sure you work out every day. Have a plan of what I want to do
Pray.
this today. If you just go into every day, like, I don't know what I'm going to do today, you won't get anything done.
Indeed.
I have a question. Like, what's been your favorite person to work with and like your favorite project?
My favorite person to work with and my favorite project.
I think I know this question.
Really?
This
Tell me,
answer.
tell me, and then I'll talk about it.
Chef Curry.
All right, what project though?
Oh, I don't know.
Something about golf?
All right,
No, I'm kidding.
I wasn't gonna go with the chef. I was gonna say when I worked at the White House in the Obama administration, I worked on this project. One we did at North Carolina A&T, and it's a HBCU. It was the first time I got to fly. I said first time and only time I got to fly on the Air Force One. So that was
Wow,
No
really?
way.
that was an incredible experience. But then he also did the graduation ceremony at Howard University. I got to provide inputs with the head speechwriter as he helped prepare his words for that graduation at Howard. And I thought the speech was so poignant. Not only was he at Howard, where I went to school and graduated from, but the speech was like incredible. It's probably one of the most impactful ones he's made, maybe because I was just like paying attention so heavily like in person, but that was probably like some of my favorite things I worked on. I got to call my mom from the Air Force One and do some really cool things like that.
Yeah, it's hard to top that. I understand now.
Wow, I'm kind of jealous, not gonna lie.
Well, can you expand upon these four key leadership areas: partnerships, investments, media, and philanthropy?
Yeah, those were four areas of leadership that I outlined in regards to athletes going from endorsement to enterprise. Each of those areas I felt like they don't represent all of the areas in business verticals that an athlete's enterprise can kind of really tap into, but in my opinion, it represented the foundational ones. And for any athlete that's kind of moving from endorsement to enterprise, I felt those areas would be great places to start. Philanthropy, so it's a no-brainer. I think you're put on this earth to impact people beyond yourself, and with great power comes great responsibility. And most of these athletes having the ability to be put on the platform, have a platform, and have the means and resources to kind of impact others and impact the world in a positive way. Philanthropy is just, it's a no-brainer. Partnerships, that's where other brands and companies come into play to really help drive your message, drive your vision, drive your purpose forward through kind of combining these two platforms where 1+1 could equal 3. Investments, more of a long-term strategy where athletes have access to some of the best deal flow out there and the ability to invest in companies, invest in products and services with the purpose of garnering hopefully an exponential return on the back end. And the last one is media. And I always say
Yeah.
most athletes are effectively media companies. They have the ability to create and disseminate content on a global scale, whether that's through a social platform or whether that's through a partnership deal with a studio like Unanimous had. So I think media is such a incredible, almost double-edged sword because you have the ability to impact lives across the world and impact thinking and positively affect people's lives, but you also have the ability to build a business around it, and that's pretty cool.
That is really cool. This is so fun to learn from you about all this. Well, what's next for Air and yourself?
Yeah, Air has been such an incredible journey. Being in the tech space is pretty wild. I think what's so amazing about tech is that it's so scalable. And when we set out with Air, our initial problem set was that on one side, fans want as much intimacy, access, and engagement as possible, and on the other side, athletes are busy being the best in the world at what they do. And oftentimes, the desire of a fan to interact and engage with that athlete is insatiable. It's almost endless. And sometimes for an athlete, it could be like pouring into a cup without a bottom in it. There's no end to how much a fan might want from you. We felt like there was a tech solution to really start to close this engagement gap and really allow athletes to scale almost themselves, their likeness, and their ability to engage with fans and these audiences globally. Probably by the time this comes out, I'm gonna say we launched a product called Persona Pro, and that's an actual athlete's officially licensed digital persona. Our athletes own 100% of their likeness, and we license it from them for the purpose of driving positivity and inspiration to fans across the globe. I'll show you an example of how it works. This comes from Lonzo Ball.
What's up, Mev and Hana? It's me, Lonzo Pro. This is my officially licensed digital persona created by HEIR. We're actually launching a new podcast that I'm hosting called Reverse the Script. It would be great to have both of you as my next podcast guests.
I'm gonna give
Oh
you
my
Wow, that's
God.
so cool.
one more time.
I'm so down.
Mev and Hana, it's me, Lonzo Pro. This is my officially licensed digital persona created by HEIR. We're actually launching a new podcast that I'm hosting called Reverse the Script. It would be great to have both of you as my next podcast guests.
So that's completely artificial. That is his officially licensed digital persona. Ultimately, the way our athletes will use their digital persona is to bring inspiration and motivation to their fans around the world, right? And I kind of alluded to this earlier, but it's like whether you made the varsity team, whether you're feeling a little bit down because you got cut from the team, it's those inspirational messages of kind of keep going, keep working hard. Never give up, and I think we have the real ability to impact the world positively through this type of tech and the ability to scale it, and we're really excited about it.
I literally love that so much because there's so much negativity in the world. So anything like this will help the world just get better in general.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and sometimes you question if people actually love sports players because all they do is slander. But I feel like this will help because people will see them as more like out there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, appreciate you saying that.
And like you can like use any like player in the NBA.
Not yet. We'll be rolling out like kind of new players on a rolling basis. We will start with Lonzo Ball, and then we will fast follow and announce some of the other athletes that are coming to the platform.
So cool. That's actually Mev's one of her favorite players.
We gotta have his persona on the pod.
That's
Better
awesome.
than nothing. That's actually so cool because I actually thought that was him for a second.
It is him. It is him.
I know it is him.
Lonzo
Right.
Ball knows our names.
No, indeed. There's your likeness through photography. There's your likeness through video, and then now there's your likeness through your what we call your Persona Pro. So let me say one more thing about Persona Pro. Go to air.app to try it out yourself, or download our app in the App Store. Looking forward to hearing the thoughts of the audience around Persona Pro and how it works and how you all like it.
Well, now you're obviously a big basketball fan. Let's
Yeah.
talk about what happened yesterday. Dame got traded to the Bucks. What do you think about that? Do you think they're like title favorites now?
Dame and the Bucks. I think Dame's an incredible human being. It has nothing to do with his ability on a basketball court. Dame linking up with Giannis, that's going to be a formidable tandem. And then you add Chris Middleton. They're going to be tough to beat. However, shout out to Adam Silver and what he's doing with the NBA because it's a very competitive league across the board. There are a lot of good basketball clubs in the league. And every year, like somebody gets better, right? Your younger athletes are starting to come into their own. Some of the guys that were injured last year are gonna be healing up. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I don't think they're a lock to get to the finals. It's gonna be an exciting season.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's so much parity in the NBA with obviously the Bucks. There's also other great teams in the East with the Celtics, and in the West, it's a lot more stacked in my opinion. The Nuggets, Lakers,
And name anybody.
Grizzlies, Suns.
Name anybody. They're all good.
Exactly.
Literally.
The Clippers too. They're gonna be healthy, like you said. Kawhi's
Yeah.
coming back. Yeah, it's gonna be so stacked next year in general. So there's definitely not a clear-cut favorite in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Do you think they're the best duo, or do you need to see them like play a game first before you put them over like Murray and Jokic, LeBron and AD, etc.?
I'm somewhere in the Murray, Jokic, Dame, and Giannis club. Like Dame is an incredible basketball player and Giannis is an anomaly. However, Jamal is really good and they're proven, they're battle tested. So they're 1A, 1B to me.
Agreed, yeah. Especially with like LeBron and AD, I feel like when they're like healthy, 100% healthy, and actually play, I think they're number one. Just because like AD is the best defender on the planet and LeBron is LeBron. Dame and Giannis are both top 10 players, so that's why I understand if people put him first. When it comes to the playoffs, Jamal Murray becomes like a top 5 player, so that's why it's hard because like obviously Jokic is the best player in the league. That's why those three are like really, really hard. But who's your favorite team though?
I'm an LA Clippers fan.
Oh, you're a Clippers fan?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a fast follow is the Golden State Warriors, but I grew up a Clippers fan. So the Clippers, they were so bad growing up that we could go buy a 300 level ticket and then like walk right down to the floor, like 3 rows back. So I went to a lot of Clipper games coming up. So I was a Clippers guy.
Do you think that's people's main reason for becoming Clippers fans over Lakers fans? It's like choosing a Honda over a Bugatti, you know?
I agree. I just, there's so many Laker fans in LA, and the tickets were so expensive growing up that I just felt like everybody was a Lakers fan, and I just wanted to do something
Yeah.
different. And the Clippers, they were so bad, but they were accessible. And then, they kind of
Yeah.
got the D Miles Q Rich thing kind of going for a minute. And then you had that Blake and CP era with DeAndre Jordan. And then now you
Lob
got
City.
Lob City. Now you have PG and Kawhi. And then I think they have an excellent owner. This new arena is going to be fantastic, and I believe it's going to work out for them. They have all the right ingredients and all the right inputs, and then
Just need Harden.
Sure. It could get interesting with Harden. Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi, PG is going to be an interesting ride. So I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, the Clippers are kind of underrated coming into next year. We'll see though. Healthy Kawhi is obviously one of the best players in the league, and the Clippers have been dealing with a lot of injuries throughout the years. Everyone thought like there'd be a battle of LA eventually, and it never happened. So I hope it happens eventually because that'd be really cool.
Yeah, hopefully we see that.
Well, before we go, we just want to hear, who do you think is going to win it all next season? I know it's really early, but like I love predictions.
I would say I really like what I saw from Denver. They have a pretty complete team. They only lost one guy that I could think of, but maybe more. But one
Bruce Brown,
one significant piece. Jamal Murray is really, really good. Jokic, obviously, everybody knows how good he is and how much of a formidable force he is on the court. But coming out of high school, I thought Mike Porter. I thought he was going to be one of the greatest to play the game. 6'11", 7 foot, can shoot it. They have just so many tools. They have so many pieces, and they're all young. If MPJ can stay healthy, and then you kind of look at what they're doing holistically, they're a problem. Denver's a problem.
I agree, and I was surprised how MPJ went so low in the draft. I know it was because of his back issues, but I know like he was a lot better than his back issues said. But I'm glad to see him like playing so well because a lot of people doubted him because of his injuries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree. I think Nuggets are probably the scariest team, but I think the Suns too, just because KD, Beal, and Booker are going to be really hard to beat, especially offensively. So maybe them, but also I think the Bucks. It's just like so hard because they have such a good top 4 players in Giannis, Dame, Lopez, and Middleton. So it's just gonna be so interesting next season.
I would say the Suns are really good. I think we're gonna have to see how they gel and how they kind of come together as a team. I think KD in another life would be looked at as the greatest or one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Like I think Kevin Durant is that good. Book, obviously phenomenal. Brad Beal, we know what he did in Washington. However, back to Denver, I didn't even mention Aaron Gordon, and Aaron Gordon was the guy in Orlando, right? Like these dudes have pieces. I think there are a lot of situations in the league, especially in the West, that are pretty comparable to what the Suns have. Can't sleep on the Warriors, can't sleep on the Lakers. Name any team in the West. Even when I look at the Blazers, like they're young. I don't think they're going to make a deep playoff run. However, they have pieces. Like they have young talent. Sacramento, they gave teams a run for their money. Yeah, Houston's not terrible. Spurs just drafted Wemby. Like the whole West is a problem. So it's going to be interesting.
I think the NBA is better now than it has been in a long time. So
I agree.
Exactly, so much talent. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice to have you. And just your website, I'm so excited for it.
HEIR.app. Put a link in the bio. Put a link in the bio.
Yes.
HEIR.app. Go try out Persona Pro with Lonzo Ball. I would love to know everybody's thoughts. So I'm gonna look in the comments. Appreciate you all supporting what we're doing over at HEIR.
Of course, everyone, link in bio. Thank you so much, Jeron. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Looking forward
Thank
to
you.
it. All right.